Welcome to Frywall Fridays. Today we're making duck breast. Duck is a really interesting protein. It has a lot of the texture and complexity of red meat, but it's actually really healthy. There are studies in France that show that it's as healthy, maybe even healthier, than olive oil. The preparation today is going to be very simple. We're just going to pan-sear the duck breast and then finish it in the oven. Salt, pepper, and cooking to perfect medium rareness. That's all we're doing. No need here to overcomplicate it with any kind of sauce. Let's get started. To prepare the duck, we're going to start by doing a little crosshatch of the skin. We're going to cut it just about an inch apart like that, and you just want to slice it very gingerly, just getting through the skin. You don't want to cut down into the meat itself. And these little cross hatches are going to allow the fat to render gradually as we cook the duck breast in the pan. And then we're just going to hit it with some salt and pepper pretty generously on both sides. Now notice here that the duck meat is pretty dark, almost as dark as red meat. And interestingly, you cook duck meat like red meat or like beef to medium rareness. You don't want to overcook it because you're going to lose all the juiciness, and the flavor actually kind of degrades if you overcook it. The preparation here is a little bit unusual because we're going to be placing the duck breast into a cold pan and then turning on the heat. The gradual heat will allow the fat to render slowly, and then within a couple of minutes the pan is going to get really hot and the skin will get nice and crispy. It's going to take about 4 or 5 minutes, maybe a little bit longer, and then we'll flip it onto the other side. We use cast iron here, which works really well, and you know it's ready to flip when the skin releases easily from the pan. This breast isn't quite as golden as we'd like it, but we're not going to worry about it too much. It's going to crisp up further when we finish it skin side down in the oven. Alright, that looks pretty good. And let's get it into the 400-degree oven to finish cooking for about 6 more minutes. And move the Frywall here. The breasts have been going for about 6 minutes and we're ready to pull them out of the oven. Now, this one looks right, it's springy but still has a little bit of softness in the center. It suggests medium rare. That's perfect. We'll take that out to rest for about 8 to 10 minutes. This one was a little bit slower to cook. We're actually going to put that back in the oven for another, I would say, 2 or 3 minutes. Alright, that actually looks pretty darn perfect. And that skin side has gotten beautifully browned. Now you see we have quite a bit of oil here in the pan. Please don't throw this away. The rendered duck fat is absolutely delicious for making sauteed potatoes. We're now going to let the breast rest for a total of about 10 minutes and then we can begin to slice them. The first piece has been resting for about 10 minutes and it is ready to slice. We're going to slice it on a bit of a bias. You don't want the pieces too thin, otherwise they get cold. And that looks pretty much perfect in terms of doneness. A little bit pink, medium rare, just like a good steak. You can serve these with mashed potatoes or potatoes you bake in the oven with some garlic and maybe rosemary. And if you're doing it a second time, you can cook it up with the duck fat that you have left over from the first preparation. Bon appetit, enjoy.